do you think the resources that exist out there are enough to support these women?
I personally do not. Specifically, especially speaking on Mississippi, out of all US states and territories, Mississippi ranks 52 in infant mortality. And there's nothing in this legislation that suggests that more resources will be going to take care of these children who are born into circumstances in which they may not be able to survive. We can talk about government programs and resources all we want, but the fact of the matter is, in the majority of the country, they're just not enough. They're not there for the people who need them. Mississippi governor just told the AP that this legislation is a major step toward making Mississippi the safest place in America for an unborn child. But what is lacking in all of this is, what about the child once it's born? It's always the safest place for an unborn child, but once that child is born, it seems that we have forgotten it. And the people who have all of these children that they can't support, people who are on the opposing side of this call them lazy. They're judged for being a mom with multiple children. And frankly, they just don't have the backing to properly raise a child. And I'm not seeing anything to combat that. So it really just sounds pro-birth to me.
Kaylee, what would you say against that? Seeing in Texas with the SB 8 bill, they are saying that there are going to be enough resources provided for women. Do you believe that is truly the case, that would truly be the case?
I believe so. I mean, with all of these places in Texas alone, the 189 different centers, whether they're government funded, church funded, or any other way funded, I believe that there are many, many, many resources that would help. And on top of that, adoption is still a very real option that people have. And most people that adopt from foster care systems or help are pro-life, in fact, because they care about the life that's there. And it's just with everything going on, I think that, again, if we're allowing women to have these accessible abortions all around, not just when it's medically necessary, you're again implying, okay, well, if you sleep with this guy, then, you made that mistake. Why don't you just not worry about the responsibility that you have now and just get rid of it so you can continue to live your life. And on top of that, I just want to add real quick, you said something about poor families and minority families. That, again, it's implying that poor people aren't good enough to have kids, or the minorities aren't good enough to have kids. And on top of that as well, abortion itself kills more African-American babies than it does white or any other race. And we can talk about eugenics and all of that, but.
So do you believe we should have more resources for young women of color and African-American mothers who are forced to have these children?
Absolutely. I think that there are these Planned Parenthoods that are being put up are targeting specific minority areas that are almost calling these women to go ahead, get the abortion, we're here for you, whatever. But
just to be clear, Planned Parenthood, only 2% of their services go toward abortions. It's largely women's health care, birth control, breast cancer screenings. They're not synonymous with abortion, as many people would have you think.